What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Casper Chronicles. This is your boy Casper, and today I finally have that Dogmatica Invoked deck profile for you guys. I apologize, it took a while for it to get uploaded. I kind of got sideswiped with some family issues. This is the deck profile. This is the thing, the most consistent deck that I could come up with. I mean, I've seen the Eldritch Synchro version of Dogmatica. That deck is really broken, but honestly at this point I've kind of come to grips with anything that's Eldritch is going to be absolutely ridiculously broken. Let's get into this deck profile here. We're gonna do the main deck first. So for the Invoked engine, obviously you have to run the 3 Alistair. If you don't run the 3 Alistair, it hurts consistency a lot, especially with the new Dogmatica cards. Like you need a monster on the field that's summoned from the extra deck. It doesn't matter if it's your opponent's or yours, but if you don't have Alistair, then you rely more upon your opponent having a monster from the extra deck on the field in order to do your Dogmatica plays. So honestly, if you don't get Alistair, you can do some plays, but you can't do a lot of plays that this deck can power through. For the Dogmatica engine, we have the 3 Ecclesia. This card is the like a Rhoda, pretty much, or I'm sorry, Stratos for the deck. When she's normal special, you can search for a Dogmatica card. You can either search for the other monsters I'm about to show you, or you can search for something a little bit later. I'll show you towards the end. Now understand that if you normal her, but you don't use her effect, you are not locked out of the extra deck until you use this effect to search. So for the next one, right, we have the 3 Floor. I can't say the full name, so we're just going to call this Floor. This is a basically hand trap infinite impermanence as long as you control an extra deck monster. Well, actually, you have to. There has to be an extra deck monster on the field, as well as a Dogmatica monster on the field in order for the negate effect to activate. However, the effect does not target, so that is absolutely ridiculous. I know I had a what's it called? A Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax made on me, and I brought this out, and then I pumped up my Macabre, and I swung over it, and its effects were negated because of this. That this card is ridiculous. That honestly was the only reason I played it 3, because it doesn't target, and it helps with a lot of problematic things that you can't target with card effects and stuff. This one does not lock you out of the extra deck when you summon it at all, which is really awesome. The main reason it's in here is honestly just, it's basically 3 more infinite impermanence just in monster form. So we have 2 Dogmatica Maximus. This card is good. There's really no need for 3. You have to banish an extra deck monster from your graveyard to special him, and then he can help you dump some of the cards that are in the extra deck. You'll see a little bit later, especially the Shadal cards that are in there. But we'll get more into that when we get to the extra deck. I don't want to touch on it too much. Just honestly, two is more than enough. I've seen people run 1. I've seen people run 3. I like the sweet spot right in the middle of 2, just so that you can get the dump. But you don't want to have this in your hand if you're playing the mirror match. Because if you're playing the mirror, you're literally giving your opponent 2 free dumps, and then they can pop cards on your field while you're in the middle of combo. So yeah, just two. For hand traps, we have the 3 Ogre. Numeron, I mean, yeah, it's not really the most hyped deck right now, but it does exist. This card can be used to hit Needle Fiber, and it stuns quite a bit of plays as well. I do like Ogre. Ogre has been one of my favorite hand traps of all time. But honestly, the main reason she is in here and she is at 3 because this deck is terrible against Numeron. With Zexal, I can't do anything with Zexal, so I have to stop Numeron Network before any of that resolves. So that's the whole reason of 3 Ogre. So for the other hand traps, so I only played 2 Ash and 2 Veiler. The 2 Ash, I mean, Ash is okay. It's not like the most broken hand trap of all. Honestly, that goes to Veiler. I would consider running 3 Veiler. I just don't have 3 ultis at the moment. So we're just running 2. And I honestly, like, I don't know what I would cut in order to put the 3rd Veiler in. I believe this deck is at 41 already. I don't like to run anything, over 40, 41-ish, just because consistency and, I mean, if there's a lot of 1-ups, then okay, like I would consider like 45, maybe 50, but I don't really play decks like that. But Ash is there just to like kind of like stop the searching and stuff, and Veiler, of course, to negate stuff on your opponent's turn to try to stun them. If you have monsters on the field, this is honestly another impermanence. If you don't have the floor in your hand as well, and or you don't have a board set up, so it's really nice. I really do want to bump this to 3. So onto the spells. So there's a little bit of flexibility here with the spells, but not too much. So of course you want to run the 3. Honestly, Rhoda for Dogmatica, Need Your Servant. This card is broken. It is stupid. I'm glad it is not searchable by Ecclesia, because if it was, this deck would be a whole new demon. You send a card from the extra deck to your grave, and you can get effects off of the extra deck monster that you send to grave, which we'll talk about again later. And this will let you search any monster piece. So if you draw this, but you don't draw Ecclesia, or you draw this and any other Dogmatica, it's honestly full combo as long as you have Alistair. And on the subject of Alistair, of course, we have to run the 3 Magical Meltdown in order to get our Alistair, and the 1 Terraforming. This needs to be in here. You have to max it out. You have to find as many ways as possible to get to Alistair. If you, like I said before, and I'll say it a lot in this video, if you don't get to Alistair, you rely too much on your opponent to play the game in order for you to get the Dogmatica plays off. And in order to ensure that stuff like that happens, you have triple Call by the Grave to, stop them from, say, ashing you to search the Alistair, or what have you, or searching from your Nadir Servant. You have to run this. It's mandatory because you get hand trapped. Your play stops unless you have triple tactics talent in your hand. I mean, I do like the draw 2 effect. I also do like ripping a card out of my opponent's hand. I only see a need for 2. I don't really see a need for 3, just simply because, again, you would be relying on your opponent to play the game and actually hope that they have a hand trap in their hand. A keynote to know: if your opponent tries to ash you and you called by the grave the ash, right? Called by the grave negates the effect and not the activation, so therefore then you can activate this if you have it in your hand, and you can rip a card out of your opponent's hand, or you can draw 2 and take your chances. So I do like that combo a lot, but I mean, it doesn't really come up that much unless your opponent is trying to hand trap you and such. So this next card here, this card is absolutely ridiculous. I love it and I hate it all at the same time. I love it because it turns off so much. It's like a Dark Ruler No More on steroids, I believe. Just sending monster spell or trap from your hand or field to the grave, and having your opponent's monsters attack and negating their effects until the end phase. This card is dumb. It really is, and with the certain play that I can actually show you a little bit later, towards the end of the video, the combo that you can do with this. This is like, it's at least a free. You have 2 cards that you can use for free. So yeah, we'll stay tuned for that. Of course, we have the triple invocation. I tried to. I didn't really like it just because, I'm a huge fan of Invocation, and say you had to draw, or you had to normal Ecclesia, and then somehow you were able to draw into an Alistair. Like, this card is still live. You can't search it because you already normaled. So you can use Invocation to do Alistair from your hand and something from the grave or what have you, and still go into like Macabre or something else in the extra deck, just to continue the Dogmatica plays, which is really nice. Onto the traps. So we play the 3 infinite impermanence. This card is the card of the format. It can't get called by the grave, which is what I love the most about it. It's just an extra form of negation that you have to play in this format. Yeah, it's this rarity is extremely expensive. You have the dual power one, and then you have the dual overload, I believe it is, where it got reprinted again. But still, this card is absolutely ridiculous. But if you don't have these, you can do the 3 Veiler. You could honestly bump Tactics to 3. Or, I'm not really sure for the whole budget options for this. This is pretty much mandatory, like I said, in this format. So you need to play at 3. Yeah. So you have the 1 Shadal Schism. This card is a 1-card Winda. And we all know Winda Pass is broken, right? And it's even more broken when you have a Macabre over here. You have your Dogmatica cards over here, and then you summon out a window. You have the 1 negate from Macabre that's free, because you'll have an Alistair in hand, and you'll have usually like 2 or 3 cards set here in your back row. So good luck to your opponent if you set up your full combo. And then you have Dogmatica Punishment. So Punishment, the only downside to this is that if you activate it, you send 2 cards from your extra deck you target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, send 1 monster with an equal or higher attack from your extra deck to the grave. If you do, destroy that monster. So it's just a form of removal. Now keep in mind though that if you do use this, you are locked out of the extra deck until the end of your turn. So that's the only downside to Punishment. So you just need to make sure that if you activate it, that you don't need to go into the extra deck your next turn. I have considered cutting this. I'm not entirely sure what to play in place of it. So for now, I'm running it at 1, and so far I kind of like it. It does come up quite a bit, but honestly, it's not needed, but it is really nice to have, in my opinion. So that's it for the main deck. Like I said, I do believe it was 41 40 or 41. I'd have to double check that. But let's move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, there's quite a bit of 2 of. So I like to play the 2 Titaniclad. This is one of the cards that you would dump off of Nadir Servant or Maximus. At the end phase, you get to search usually you search the Fluor from your deck to your hand, just so you have an extra form of interruption on your opponent's turn. But I mean, aside from that, we don't play Fallen of Albaz in our deck. So honestly, this is just here for the dump. And I play it at 2 just for the versatility of, if I'm like mid-game and I'm like, oh crap, I need to search something and I have a way to dump another one, but I don't have another one, then I'm stuck. Like I don't have a way to mill another one to get the search. So we do have, we play 2 Macabre, one for the beginning play, and then, there is a way to bring out another one if you're playing in the mirror match, which I do like to have the versatility to. You'll see that card here in a little bit. Macabre is stupid. Being able to negate and banish anything. And this deck does not have an issue with Nibiru, which is crazy because you can make Macabre on your 4 summon and have a monster negate in your hand in the form of Alistair. If you shuffle it back with Invocation, you add it back to hand with Invocation, you shuffle Invocation back in the deck. And then, this is your 4 summon, so then you can continue on with your plays and stuff, which is why Macabre is super important. So then you have the 1 Purgatrio for to round off the Invoked cards. This is solely in here for game. If your opponent has a lot of cards on the field and they have a lot of big bodies, I do like to go into this. It's just in here just in case. Normally I can figure out a way to, out them another way or what have you, but it is in here for versatility. Excuse me. We do have the Elder Antecedents, just 2. Because you can only with Maximus you have to dump 2 with different names, so you can only dump 1 of this, and then you can dump this one with another one with Nadir Servant or what have you if you need to pop stuff on your opponent's field. But the effect of this is only once per turn, so just kind of 2 just in case. Same thing for Skull Knight. I only like the 1 though, just simply because like if he's dumped, then you have to banish him from your grave, and that's only good if it's on your turn because it's not a quick effect. You can't banish it on your opponent's turn to pop some on their field. So this is kind of here for like my Maximus play or my Nadir Servant play or what have you. So now for the Shaddolls, right? So you have the 1 Construct, the 1 App Cologne, and the 1 Winda, right? So what's crazy is, right, the number one card you do want to dump off of Nadir Servant is App Cologne, simply because App Cologne will trigger in the grave and it'll let you add Shaddol Schism to your hand, and then you discard 1 card, which you'll discard the Schism. And then once you get Ecclesia, you'll special Ecclesia when you have Macabre on the field. Ecclesia will search out your Maximus, and you can banish the App Cologne from your grave to special the Maximus. And then your Maximus can dump Construct and Titaniclad, so that way you have a Shaddol and a Dark, so that way you can go into Winda on your opponent's turn, and Construct will trigger and add back the Shaddol Schism, and then you just set it, and then Winda on your opponent's turn. That's the whole reason this little package is in here. I love this package so much. Again, Winda Pass is ridiculous. So that's it for the fusions. So the only 1 Synchro. I only play the 1 Wind Pegasus at Ignister. I want to find a card to replace this. I don't know what though. I do like this versatility. If one of my cards is destroyed while this is in my grave, I can banish it and pop something on my opponent's field. So if they're trying to, you know, break my board or whatever, I can activate this and, you know, pop something on their field in the middle of their trying to break my board. This card is really good. I do like it for that aspect, but aside from that, it doesn't really come up that much. You know, like it stays in my extra deck a majority of the time. So I'm thinking about replacing this for something else. I don't know what that something else could potentially be, but stay tuned. And you know, if I come up with something else, or you know, if you have an idea of what to replace this with, let me know down in the comments for sure. I'm always open for, you know, feedback on how I can make decks better and stuff, because I'm still searching for that first invite. To be perfectly honest, I have not gotten an invite yet to Nationals. So, I mean, I was kind of hoping for this year to happen, and then the whole pandemic happened. So, yeah, I guess we gotta wait until next year. So, that's it for that's the only synchro. For the XYZ, so this is the other way I told you that we could bring out another Macabre. So if you're playing the mirror, right, and your opponent does Maximus, you dump this and probably an Ince or something like that to the grave. This, when it gets sent to the graveyard, you can special one light monster from your extra deck, and you can literally summon out another Macabre. And you know, have a card in your hand, and that's another negate. That's honestly the only reason it's in here. I haven't seen a lot of people play this. I'm not sure why. I do like it a lot. But yeah, like aside from if you're playing the mirror match, this is kind of a kind of a flex card. Like you can play other things in the extra deck, but I do like this a lot. And then for the links, you know, you gotta play the Almirage and you gotta play the Secure Gardener for the 1-card Macabre, known as Alistair. This is the only fire target in here aside from Ash for the Purgatrio play. So if you can, avoid banishing this, but if you have to, it's there. Just know Purgatrio would be turned off until you have an Ash in the grave, or you find a way to get this back in your graveyard so you can do it for the whole Purgatrio play. You know, this card, you know, we already know the Macabre shenanigans. So, yeah, guys, that is the deck profile. We can roll on into some combos here, and I can show you, you know, kind of what this deck can do. So we'll do one with Droplet, Meltdown, Servant, Imperm, and let's say Ogre Veiler. Oh no, we need Call by the Grave. Alright guys, so honestly, the only 2 cards that you would need, right, is Meltdown and Servant. These other cards can literally be anything else, but I figured, you know, like these would be the best ones to kind of showcase like the versatility. So Call by the Grave is just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you. So here, let's actually zoom out a little bit here. Don't mind my camera stand right there. So what you're going to do, right, is you're going to activate Meltdown. Meltdown is going to search the Alistair. Okay. And then, you know, if for whatever reason your opponent wants to ash you or what have you, you can Call by the Grave. So say they do. So Call by the Grave is gone. So then you're going to normal your Alistair, use Alistair's effect to search out Invocation. Okay. Then you're going to do the whole Alistair thing. You're going to link this away into Almirage. And then you're going to link Almirage away into Secure Gardener. Okay. And then you're going to activate Invocation. You're going to banish Secure Gardna. And you're going to banish the Alistair from your grave. Right? And then you are going to summon your Macabre. I always do it in a far left, you know, why not? So this, it depends on the situation. Like if you know your opponent's playing Lightning Storm, of course, you know, summon it in defense. In defense is a lot of times, like the way I like to summon a Macabre, just, I don't like Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is the bane of my existence. I always get Lightning Storm no matter what. For some reason, that's just my luck. So in defense is probably the best position, in my opinion, for Macabre on your first turn. So then you're going to activate Invocation's effect. You're going to shuffle Invocation back in the deck, all right? And then you're going to add Alistair back to your hand, okay? So then, knowledge, this is your fourth summon. So like I said, you don't, like Nibiru is not a thing to be worried about. Because you do have the free discard fodder in Alistair to negate and banish that Nibiru. Okay, so now since you have an extra deck monster on the field and you no longer technically need to go in your extra deck, you can activate a Nadir Servant, right? And then from there you want to dump the App Cologne. So this is going to resolve, and you're going to search out your Ecclesia. App Cologne is going to trigger, and it's going to search out your Shadal Schism, wherever it is. Of course, it has to be the last card. And then you're going to discard one card, and you're going to discard the Schism. Okay? Don't worry, you're going to get it back. Okay? So Servant's done. So now, since you control an extra deck monster, you can special her. You can activate her effect to search out the Maximus. Okay, so you're going to search out Maximus. And now, what you can do is you can special Maximus by banishing App Cologne, because you don't really need App Cologne anymore. And that way, your Almirage can stay in the grave for a Purgatrio play, should you need it. Okay, so now you can activate Maximus's effect to dump the Shadal Construct and the Titaniclad. So Construct is going to trigger to add back your Schism. Okay? So now what you can do from here is you can set the Schism. And since we have the droplets, we can do the droplets play too. So we can set 2 and we can go ahead and pass. And we have Valor and we have Alistair in our hand, right? So on the end phase, Titaniclad is going to trigger and add you the Floor. So with the Floor, now you literally have an extra form of disruption. So you have a Winda, you have an Imperm, you have another technical Imperm, and then you have a monster negate from Macabre, so like protection from Nibiru, right? So say your opponent goes, what you want to do, right, is, well, these are set, okay? So your opponent normal summons a monster, right? Schism, you're going to banish the Titaniclad because it's a dark, and you're going to banish the Construct because it's a Shadal, okay? And then you can bring out your Winda. Okay? Now your opponent can special summon once. And remember, Schism is a continuous trap, so it stays on the field. Okay? Say your opponent does some more shenanigans, you Valor them, you bring the Floor out, what have you. Okay? Now, here's where things get awesome. So say they pass it back to you, right? So you draw for turn. Oh, look at that. Even better. Okay? So, what you can do, right, is you can activate droplets. You can tribute Meltdown, Schism, and Alistair. Especially because you have another way to search out an Alistair, right? Or, if you didn't draw Meltdown, right, you can get rid of Ecclesia, or, you know, you can get rid of Maximus, what have you, right? So that way your opponent cannot respond with spells, traps, or monster effects to this. So this will turn off all your opponent's monster effects, and it will half their attack, right? So then what you would do is you would just switch everything to attack position. Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention, this pumps up all your Dogmatica cards by 500 attack every time when your Dogmatica monster declares an attack. You can make all of them gain 500 attack. Oh, but you can only use that once per turn. My bad. So this would be 3K, 22, 2K, 2K, 25. Plus the Alistair, if you discarded, that's 3,500. That should be game unless your opponent figured out a way to break this. But that is why Forbidden Droplet is such a broken card. And it still allows you to deal damage to your opponent. Unlike Dark Ruler No More, your opponent can't get damage dealt to them. So I do like this a lot more than Dark Ruler No More. And this card is definitely worth the price tag that it has. So, alright guys, well, that is the combo. I really hope you guys have enjoyed. If there's any changes or suggestions you guys would like to make, please do leave it down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, it's your move.